All right, super excited to be here right now talking about the Nature Journal Show Traveling Art Toolkit. That's right, for patrons on the $5 Roots level or up, they get access to the Traveling Art Toolkit, which if you don't know about it already, it's an awesome put together art kit that is compact, has a nice little watercolor palette, and is done by the company Art Toolkit. You can check out their stuff at arttoolkit.com, but I thought it would be really great for the Nature Journal Club Patreon members to have access to this amazing kit without each of us having to buy our own. So when I put together one, partly from materials that they gave to me, but also partly from materials that I purchased, I decided how cool would it be if we mail this from one Patreon member to the next, and each person can nature journal in it for a few days before sending it on to the next person. I just got it mailed to me from Alaska because none of the other Patreon members had claimed it yet. I know some of you have seen it already and used it already, but for those of you who haven't, you're missing out because this is an amazing kit of art supplies, and it's also really cool to see what other people have nature journaled in it so far. So it just came from Kirstie in Alaska, and I can't wait to see some of the stuff people have been putting in here. It looks like she added a few things in here as well. A little note, so you could send notes on to the next patron as well. Here's some information about the cool stuff that she is doing. Really exciting. And this is the Nature Journaling Club that they have up there in Alaska. And I will read the note from her later, but let me show you the kit. So check this out. If you have been avoiding nature journaling because you're worried about how much material you have to carry, maybe you've seen the sketchbook that I use, which is this size. This is actually the one that I just took to Baja with me, number 46. This is the size that I use, but if that's been intimidating you so far, then you have no excuses anymore, because look at the size of this toolkit right here. This could easily fit in your purse, and they even have some that are smaller than this, but this is the one that we have for the Nature Journal Show Patreon community, and some people have been adding extra materials into it since the ones that I added, so that's super cool. It looks like someone added this fine liner pin, a 0.1. So for those of you who like a fine point pin, I don't think I've ever, oh, this is the Copic brand. I haven't used their fine liners before, so that will be really cool to try. These are all things that you can try. If you're a Patreon member, you can easily, all you have to do is when the next person posts it in the membership, in the community section of the Nature Journal Show Patreon page, all you have to do is claim it and get it mailed to you next. And then you can also try, it looks like this is probably going to need a refill soon, but this is the Fudayaku Pilot, the Pilot Fudayaku pen that has gray on one side and black on the other, the one that I always talk about. Here is the Pintell Aquash. It looks like it's empty of water, probably a good idea for mailing. I think this is the size large, the one that I usually use. There's a ruler in here. There's little clips in here. Oh, someone put in a card like this. I think this is for doing some watercolor techniques. Let's see what's stuffed in here. It looks like there's a whole bunch of goodies that people have been adding along the way. But I'm actually going to skip to one of my favorite parts and one of the unique things about the Art Toolkit, and that is their palettes. You can see their logo right there, Art Toolkit, a great company. And this is their signature watercolor palettes. They come in a variety of sizes. This isn't the smallest, by the way, but this could easily fit in a breast pocket of a shirt. Could also fit in the pocket of your pants, probably easily fit into a purse. It's about the size of a makeup container. And you can see, ooh, I might need to add more to some of these colors. You can see there's these separate magnetic pans and also several mixing areas, including a large one here and two medium-sized ones here. Then there's all these different types. I spent some time putting together this palette. A lot of these are the same ones from the Daniel Smith watercolor palette that I use. And I think I posted on the Patreon page what all of these colors are, but now I'm wishing I had created a printout. It's possible that someone else did, one of the patrons, because there's so many awesome Patreon members. You're all really great. And I think someone might have added some to here. Let's see what we have in here. There's a bunch of cool stuff. It looks like someone added a little watercolor, some of these watercolor samplers here that come on a little test sheet. So that's really cool. Thanks to whoever did that. Make a splash, handmade. These are handmade watercolors, so that's a really cool thing to be able to try. Here is a note left by Tiffany, and a really cool note that's really sweet with some information that she's learned about from trying this kit. I love that idea of leaving notes. That wasn't even my idea, but it looks like several people have been doing that. Valerie also left one here, and that is really cool. And both of them are encouraging people that when you get this kit sent to you, that you share the entries, you share some of your pages on the Patreon page. There is a membership, a community section on the Patreon page, on my Patreon page, where you can post. Any members can post. Now let's get into the book here. One other tool that I want to share is there's this little mister that is good for some watercolor techniques that comes in the kit. And here is the journal itself. So this is a moleskin. It's a landscape format. I can't remember exactly what this size is. Maybe that's like 4 by 9 or something like that. But the landscape format is nice for landscapeitos, of course. But it's also, this one is also the watercolor paper. So this was actually one of the first entries that I did in the journal when I first got it. And this is from my old house looking out the window in Sonoma County. You can see this is more quality of dedicated watercolor paper than what I usually use. So it works really well with watercolor techniques such as wet on wet and getting some nice effects in there with the watercolor because it has more texture than the paper that I usually use. Here I did some tests with the pins that came with it. And here is a watercolor spread out at the coast in the rock intertidal zone in Sonoma County, California. Some nature journaling, some pelicans diving. That was also by me. Someone pointed out when they did the share that I didn't label my pages, that they were by me. So that might be something to do in the future, is people could label theirs. So these were all pages that I filled when I first got this and was testing it out. Here is some brainstorming stuff that I did. Some more pages that I did. I think I took it on a short kayaking trip. I also took it on a wine tasting trip. I think I filled more than my allotment of pages. This might have been before I decided that I wanted to make it into a traveling kit. I wanted to test it out myself before I sent it around to Patreon members. So here you can see I basically applied a nature journaling approach at on a wine tasting trip. So we were in these caves, a wine aging cave in Sonoma County, and I decided to bring my nature journaling kit with me, and it just made it a much more meaningful and fulfilling experience, in my opinion. Nothing wrong with going and tasting wine with your friends and just chatting about the usual, the usual gossip. But if you can bring a nature journal along and do some sketches, what a better way to kind of take that to the next level. So even here, I did a little map showing where the wines were from, and I tried to take a little bit of the lees from each wine and put it on the page there. You can see these were mostly red wines. The white wines didn't show up at all, or they didn't have any lees. So all of that was done there while wine tasting. And then I also did one sort of urban sketching type page at a farmer's market. So this was sort of outside of what I normally do, but I like how this this particular sketchbook, this is different from mine that I usually use, that is spiral bound. This one, the pages are connected here in the middle, and one of the benefits of that type of sketchbook is that you can do these 2-page spreads where they just seamlessly connect across the 2 pages, which is pretty fun. So I think after that, I passed it on to a good friend of mine who took it on a river trip down the Rogue River. So this art toolkit has been on some adventures from the get-go. They saw baby bears, black bears, merganser swallows, bald eagle. These are a whole bunch of animals they saw, river otter. And this art toolkit went on a river trip. Isn't that awesome? And here are some of the pages that my friend and Patreon member Stacy did. Super cool. Some deer tracks. It looks like that is maybe a bear scat. Really cool to see that. Now this I think is with Valerie, perhaps. The Nature Journal made it to Southwest Washington, and I should probably put a little marker on this page. And also some really good stuff in here that Valerie, I believe this is Valerie again, put about comparing it to the Pocket palette and which one is easier to hold. Oh, and a really great idea about adding a pop socket type thing. So Valerie is pointing out that perhaps this one was a little bit more challenging to hold compared to the pocket size one, which I haven't tested yet, but Valerie has. And she mentions the idea of a pop socket. So if you don't know, pop sockets are these things that you can put on an iPhone or an iPhone case, and it allows you to put your fingers like that to hold it. And that's a genius idea, Valerie. I feel like you should bring that up with Art Toolkit. But how cool would that be to stick one of those? Oh my gosh, that is a genius idea. I love that. See, this is one of the reasons to do something like this for our community, is there's so much good knowledge amongst our members. You can see here some testing of different mark making. I love this. This is so interesting. Very, very thoughtful. I think this is Tina here now. Wow, wherever she was, it was 8 degrees Fahrenheit. But lots of cool tests of the materials. Larger sort of painting of a tree here. March 1st, 2022. This is in Colorado. So this art toolkit has been around a lot. Oh, and then look, it makes it up to Alaska. That is really cool. I love this. I still haven't done one of these phenology wheels, but I've wanted to try. Spring equinox in Alaska. Oh, wow. Look at this. A sharp-shinned hawk and some bear tracks. And that is it. A good sort of review here also of the kit and what worked and what didn't. There's not that many pages left in this book. I think I'm going to fill a few more and then mail it to the next person. So this is an awesome resource for anybody who is a member of the Nature Journal Show Patreon. So by becoming a Patreon member, you can easily, for as little as $5 a month, support the Nature Journal Show and the work that I'm doing with the Nature Journal Show. And you also get access to amazing resources like this. Did I mention that in addition to this Art Toolkit one, there's actually, I think, 2 other traveling journals that Nature Journal Show Patreon members can get access to. So in addition to this one, you get access to those. We also have 4 times a year, we have patron-only parties. And there's a whole bunch of other things that you can get access to, and you can support the work that I'm doing, spreading nature journaling to more people. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/MarleyPifer. I'll put up a little banner right now showing that, so you can find it. Patreon.com/MarleyPifer, and then you can choose at what level you want to become a member. Just think about how much you might spend on Netflix or something like that already, and whether or not this show is worth it. And you'd also get access to cool things like that. If you already are a patron, go over to the community section of the Patreon page and put in your request to get this next, or to get one of the other journals next. You can also introduce yourself on there, meet some of the other amazing Patreon members on there, start a conversation. It's a great place to share work that you're doing and find out what other people are doing. Because these journals, these traveling journals, are not always getting picked up right away. That's why I grabbed this one. Okay, so you might be wondering about my background, and some of you might be thinking, Oh, Mareike, are show what's he doing with the money that he's getting? Well, I'm not going off on crazy trips and just spending it in luxury. What I want to show you right now is that I'm actually staying in a storage shed in my mom's backyard in San Diego for the time being, saving up some money and getting ready to go on this Galapagos trip where I'm going to be teaching nature journaling and also nature journaling, filling nature journal pages and creating videos for all of you. But check it out. I've been staying the last few weeks in this teeny little storage shed. This is my setup in here. You can see there's barely enough room to stretch out. I'm sleeping on this futon, got my whole studio. So it's definitely a huge downgrade from where I was living before, because my whole focus right now is to put all of my energy and resources into making the world a better place through nature journaling. I think that nature journaling can make the world a better place while unlocking the creative potential in each one of you and helping you connect more to nature in your own way while making the world a better place for everybody. So if you believe that nature journaling has that potential as well, and you want access to some of these awesome things, sign up on the Patreon below for as little as $5 a month, and you can support this work and be connected to the community of other members who believe in the same things as you. So that's it for now. More episodes coming soon. Thank you to all of my patrons who are already members and supporting the Nature Journal show. And thanks to everybody else who's watching this at home. If you can't wait all the way until next week for the next episode of the show, watch one of these other videos here. Bye.